The quad guard small sword. Is this monstrosity the best small sword you can possibly get? Let's find out. Hi, I'm Nick Thomas and welcome back to the Academy of Historical Fencing. And in this video, we're going to take a look at this absolute abomination, which has lovingly been called the quadrillion, the quad guard, the quadrille, many different names. You're also going to get to see two different sparring bouts. So if you'd like to just see some fun, frenetic small sword fencing, you're going to see two different sparring bouts. And if you want to see the quadrillion in action and see basically how I built it, how it works, then follow along. So firstly, what is this? Well, the idea behind this sword is it's a small sword, so that's a thrust-only lightweight sword, that has been built with 4 quillons or crossguards. Now, why? Well, the main thing is fun. So a few of us in the club were talking about this idea of a 4-quillon small sword. So why would you do this? Well, certain swords do actually rely on their long quillons for control of the weapon's blade, particularly, for example, in Spanish rapier and destreza. So if long quillons on a cut-hilt rapier can control an opponent's sword, well, why not double them and see if that can actually do an even better job? Now, some people might ask, why don't you just expand the shell to be as large as this? Well, the reason is, well, one, visibility, you're going to lose a lot of sight line to your opponent, but also you're going to add a lot more weight. So this isn't significantly heavier than a normal small sword. So the quadrillion, it's built with a size 5 epee blade, which is very common for small sword practice. It has an HFA cup on it, which is pretty standard. HFA pommel and grip, and then the guards are made of a combination of the cup hilt guard from a cup hilt rapier, hamway, and then another cup hilt guard that's had the quillon removed and placed in front of it. And what this allows you to have is this guard with a massive amount of coverage for basically trapping or controllability of your opponent's blade. Now, the specification in the end of this sword was 730 grams. The balance point is about 3 centimeters from the cup. So it's a bit heavier than your average small sword. So for example, this Shrewsbury Armoury was just over 500 grams. So yeah, it's a little bit more weight, but you're also gaining a little bit of mass for control of the opponent's blade, and significantly, these 4 guards. Did this kind of thing actually exist? Well, there are actually a few quad guard swords out there, like this Scottish two-hander, for example. Now, it's speculated that this was just a parade sword, although nobody really knows, but the fact is that the idea of a quad guard sword does exist historically. Now, it would never have been remotely common. It's a real rarity, but, you know, it's something to go on. Amusingly, when I first posted pictures of it, loads of the comments just said, well, you couldn't wear it, could you? You're kind of missing the point. One, this was done for fun. It's not a serious project. And 2, actually that's not even true, because small swords were commonly hung almost horizontally in a kind of quite a loose, simple hanger type construction, which basically hangs, you can't see in the camera frame, but it would basically hang like this off your side a bit lower. So actually you could wear it quite comfortably, and we have tried it with sword belts. You could absolutely wear it, no problem. So theoretically, yes, you could wear it. So let's jump more into some of this sparring and see how it really worked. Now you'll notice in this disarm actually that Ian has actually got a small sword by the blade and is stabbing it into the top of my jacket. Although because they're quite light and my jacket's nicely padded there, I wasn't really feeling it. But he also gets me on the way down as well. So yeah, it's fair to say I had a lot of holes in me here and I did not win this exchange. Worth noting in this particular exchange, Ian has tried a disarm to stab behind the back. Now this is a technique seen in Angelo's smallsword, also in a few other manuals, and I was working on a counter here where basically I'm closing the distance and getting underneath his strike. So by closing in and pushing him, it's getting me under his blade and he can't get the blade around to stab me, and then I'm able to control and disarm him. So that was an interesting way I've been working on countering the stab behind the back, which is actually a very practical technique if you get it working well. Ultimately, what I found using the quadrillion is it excelled against people who want to try and control the center line, which if you're a typical small sword fencer, you should be doing that. And so it actually kind of does work. But if you fight people who are a bit more unorthodox in their approach and not controlling that center so much, it isn't so useful. And then you're just having extra mass for no actual benefit. Another downside is it does actually increase your chances of being disarmed by your opponent because there's simply more things to grab. So when somebody goes in for a grab, a disarm if you like, which disarms are really common in small sword because you've got no cutting edges, disarms are more common in small sword than most other swords, you've got so much different opportunity to grab different component parts. So it's actually easier to get a hold of this than any other small sword. So plus points. It does have an increased chance of snagging and grabbing and trapping the opponent's blade during certain parries. Although ultimately with small sword, you're usually looking to parry with the blade rather than the hilt. So it's not massive, but in certain actions it does trap. And you've also got a little bit of added mass, so it kind of controls the opponent's blade a little bit more. A bit like a Kalishamad, for example. So it's a different way of adding a bit more mass in front of your hand. Downsides are it would be a little bit more bulky to wear, and increases your chance of being disarmed because there's more stuff for the opponent to grab. So is the quadrillion a success? Is it practical? Would you want to carry one if you possibly could? I would say it doesn't add a significant amount to what's happening in the fight, and it does come at that compromise of the extra bit of weight and that disarm potential, but it doesn't compromise you so much that it's necessarily a problem. It's not a big compromise in the fight. So it's kind of a little bit of extra interest in trapping ability, a little bit of extra blade control for not a huge amount of extra weight. Is it ultimately worth it? Probably not. Small swords spend most of their time being worn, and so they need to be practical and easy to wear, and it is that extra bit of bulk and mass. So probably not, but as far as an experiment that goes, to have a bit of fun with, absolutely, why not? It does actually have some practical application, and it was a lot of fun to use. I hope you enjoyed seeing this absolute abomination of a sword. It was kind of fun to put together, and it's kind of fun to use. People just love the idea of it. Well, they love it or they hate it, or a mixture of the both at the same time. It's a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And remember, we also now have channel memberships. No pressure to join, but if you'd like to support the channel, please feel free to do so. Thanks for watching.